Welcome to Superintendent Radio Network. I'm Guy Cipriano, the editor of Golf Course Industry Magazine. This is the fourth episode in our disease discussion podcast series we're producing in partnership with BASF. This episode features a conversation with BASF Senior Product Manager Jeff Vannoy. On this episode, Jeff will discuss the holiday spray program. We'd like to thank BASF for sponsoring this podcast. BASF is always in the disease discussion with numerous solutions to help superintendents control a variety of diseases. Visit betterturf.basf.us for more information. Now on to our conversation with Jeff. Well, Jeff, thanks for joining us. It's great to have you on the podcast. The first thing I want to ask you here is describe what spring was like for your team and what has it been like so far in early summer for you and everyone else at BASF on the turf side.
Yeah, Guy, thanks. First of all, thanks for having us. BASF appreciates this. And yeah, so it's been interesting for sure. I mean, actually, we've been very busy. We're asking a ton of questions and listening carefully to what our customers are saying to really understand what they're going to need from us this year. We're trying to really stay very focused on the solution of what they need. Of course, taking care of our health and families, just making the best of our time at home, which for me with three teenagers is always interesting, but it's been good in a lot of ways. But, you know, one thing I'll say that I've learned in the past 27 years, you know, of my career is in tough times, we just keep moving forward because either way, the future is always different than the past. So that's just what I keep in mind, and we just keep on keeping on.
What has it been like not being on the road for you and many of your other reps, and how are you serving customers from afar?
It's definitely some days meld together a little more than others when you're at the house, and especially for our salespeople who travel 4 to 5 days a week, and our sales managers, it's even more different than it is for us in the marketing group. But I'd say that, you know, the way we continue to serve superintendents is in a few ways. First, you know, we went back to the drawing board, and we asked ourselves a lot of good questions, and we pivoted really to a totally different summer plan than we really had in January. So that was a little scary. Could we pull it off? What would we need to do? How quickly would we need to do it? So instead of taking, a lot of companies right now are taking their foot off the gas, not just necessarily in this industry, but in other industries, as I read. And we've actually accelerated. I mean, and we're delivering more good educational tools and support during the summer than we ever have. And some key examples of that would be, we extended our EOP payments due by additional 30 days just to give our courses some breathing room. We donated $25,000 to the GCSAA COVID Relief Fund to help those superintendents that, you know, maybe they have a staff member who's got someone sick that they needed to stay home and take care of. I mean, there's a lot of real situations. I mean, we're dealing with millions and millions of people affected, and so we're also delivering a ton of new content and tools to help our supers better utilize our chemistry in order to make their overall labor situation work during these tough times on budgets. So that's kind of some of the ways that we've been able to continue to serve our superintendents and kind of how we focused our time.
It's interesting. You mentioned that you had to pivot your plan, and a lot of your customers have also had to pivot. What was that like at first? And for a superintendent listening that's fascinated with the business side of the industry, how do you pivot a plan in the middle of a year?
I think the first thing is you have to realize that something significant's changed. And that was fairly easy, I think, for all of us as Americans and across the world to realize something major had changed. I mean, when the only thing open is a gas station in Walgreens, you know that things are definitely different. And so we immediately started reaching out to industry colleagues, to our channel partners, to our trusted golf course superintendent partners, and made sure that we understood kind of what they were seeing. And it was for quite a while. It was a day-by-day thing because things were changing all the time, as you know. And so to pivot, we had to realize that the plan that we had signed off on last fall and that we started to execute in January was no longer going to be the appropriate plan or received well under these conditions. And I think once we got to that point where we accepted that things needed to change, I think the rest was definitely a lot easier.
Jeff, now on to the holiday spray program. What is the holiday spray program for our listeners that aren't familiar with it, and how does it fit into what the industry is experiencing here in 2020?
The holiday spray program was first designed design back in around 2013. And, at that time, we realized that supers needed an easy way to understand when to apply BASF's family of intrinsic brand fungicides so they get the most bang for their buck. Never really has there been a more important time to be on the holiday spray program anchored by intrinsic, as supers really need workhorse-type fungicide product with proven plant health and long residual. So in that way, it's a critical application to keep making on their greens and fairways.
How do the intrinsic brand fungicides fit into that program?
A couple of things. One is that when the program was first designed, it was based upon the research that we were getting out of the crop market back in 06, 07. We discovered that the intrinsic brand fungicides could aid in respiration of the plant and basically allow the plant to essentially breathe easier during the most stressful months. And one of the things we noticed in early research is it helped with recovery from aerification, foot traffic, humidity, etc. So when you added this proven feature to a very effective fungicide, it became a real powerful tool for supers for both. The cool thing is both cool and warm season grasses. So what that then dovetailed into is this holiday spray program. And essentially, the program is really, at a high level, very simple. It's 4 applications of Lexicon Intrinsic for cool season greens from May to August, timed basically by our summer holidays. And then for fairways, we recommend a 4th of July application of Navicon, which is our newest family member, followed by a second application of Navicon in August. The great thing, I guess, about it is these 2 products handle everything a super basically faces on greens except for the Pythiums, and there's plenty of good products for that. What's great is that they see plant health, and which helps them get through the summer months. Now, for warm season greens, the way it fits is it's the shoulders of the season. That's when we see our disease. Really, October through March are the tough times when there's less sunlight, cooler periods. That's really tough for the warm season grasses down south. And that's really when we hit the holidays that are in those months, and that kind of forms that program.
Jeff, so the program was created in 2013. Is it the same program that you unveiled then, or have there been some tweaks made over the last 7 years?
Yeah, we always do make tweaks. I mean, so when it first came out, really what we had was Insignia, Honor, and Pillar. And so the program was formed around that, which was certainly a great program. But then in 2014, Lexicon, which has become the game changer in the industry for greens, came out, and then Lexicon became very much the backbone of our greens part of the program, and while Honor continued to be on fairways. And then this year, we had kind of another change, and that was the Navicon came out, and that's now become kind of our premier product we recommend for fairways, and whereas then Honor moved out to going around bunkers, and more of the out-of-play areas, the roughs and stuff like that. So, yeah, we've continued to be flexible with kind of how the program works based on what seems to be the best for the superintendent.
Okay, this is a good time to refer to the rotational spray programs provided by BASF and customized for your specific geographic region of the country. It's a spray program for the entire calendar year and considers growing season, climate, key diseases, and resistance management. Ask your BASF sales rep or find them at betterturf.basf.us behind the Solutions tab. Jeff, what goes into creating the program and tweaking it? Who are some people and what are some practices that really make you hone this program in?
Well, so obviously we've always had a very robust research and development program at BASF. I mean, we spend a lot of money in making sure that when we recommend a product that it actually works the way we say. And so that's a lot of work with our university folks around the country. And so we do put a lot of time and thought into how we design the spray programs with universities. But then we have a world-class tech service team led by Dr. Joe Hsu. His team really helps us then. We look at it and work with superintendents, and we do trials in the real world to say, hey, you've seen it in the university, but does this thing really work in the real world? Okay, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do on a small 3-foot by 3-foot plot on a green at a university that may not translate in the real world. So it has to translate in the real world. So we always work with superintendents early on. That's what we did with Navicon and Maxtima. We had over 60 courses that did work with it before we got registration under a research trial license. So when we came to market, we know exactly what's going to happen and under what conditions they can work and be successful.
Navicon and Maxtima, it feels like they've been on the market for a long time, but it was just last year at this time that it became available to most superintendents. What have you learned about them in the last year, and how does a DMI combo fit like Navicon help a superintendent from what you've learned over the past year?
It's been really exciting. Probably of all the launches I've worked on, one of the most exciting, because the base chemistry Revasol has some just amazing properties, a very broad spectrum, excellent uptake in the plant, so it's rain fast very quickly, and great long residual. So those things put together make for great products, and specifically with Navicon being the combination of our Insignia intrinsic brand plus our Maxtima kind of all together in one product has created some new fits for our customers. The first thing is that Navicon has kind of become a great rotation partner to Lexicon on greens, and it has a special strong suit with anthracnose, which of course is the number 2 disease in the U.S. and one that's very scary to superintendents. Right there in the midsummer, so we definitely recommend one application of that on the greens in rotation with Lexicon. So that's really been a big winner for us. And then when you go down south, take all root rot and spring dead spot just continue to be bigger and bigger problems on warm season greens. And Navicon seems to have some extra special abilities with those two. Lexicon's outstanding on both of them, and one of the best still. But some guys are choosing to throw in an application of Navicon again in rotation on those warm season greens. So the cool thing about Navicon is it's the same great plant health that supers have grown to trust from intrinsic, but at the same time offering some increased spectrum on some very key tough diseases to control. So it's been a really great addition, in addition to the fact that we now have positioned it on the fairways, and we've moved Honor kind of out to the taller grass, if you will. Guys have loved that, both for spring dead spot down south, but also just to handle dollar spot, brown patch, anthracnose, summer patch on fairways. Navicon is just, it gets the whole kitchen sink on fairways. So it's really been a lot of fun launching this product.
So we just talked about Navicon. Let's go solution by solution and talk about how they're positioned by playing surface. And we'll go with Lexicon now, Jeff.
Yeah, so Lexicon, of course, is what we call our foundational fungicide. It's our lead dog in the pack. It's applied about 4 times, either during the summer on cool season or over the fall-winter period on warm season. You can expect very strong residual. It covers everything under the sun, really except certain pythiums, right, that we need other products for. So Lexicon is a product that most guys have grown to trust, and we've had some superintendents over the years kid us and say it's my sleep easy medicine to allow me to have a vacation during the summer for 2 or 3 days.
Well, you mentioned it briefly when you were talking about Navicon, but what about Honor? How is that positioned by playing surface?
Yeah, so Honor continues to be an important part of the lineup and the team. There's more and more treatment around bunker faces to build up the root system to make it stronger. So the cutting and the cleaning up around those bunkers, it just looks better. So we've had guys using Honor in that. And, of course, the onslaught of some more diseases and more importance and focus on some of the higher cut areas outside the fairways and the roughs, primary rough, secondary rough. We're seeing more and more guys certain times of the year treating those, and Honor is a great choice for that. So Honor's still out there, and there's still some guys using that in the fairways, of course. Guys still used on greens, but from a BSF standpoint, we always try to position the products in a place where we feel like they get the most value for the superintendent. So that's kind of where we see Honor at today.
And Jeff, now on to Insignia.
Yeah, so Insignia, of course, was our original product that we launched in 2003, and then in 2008, we were the first to get an US EPA label recognizing plant health as a mechanism enhancing the plant and the health of the plant. So we've always been proud of that. And Insignia continues to be a very, very broad-based use product. It's a little more cost-effective than some of the other products since it's a solo active ingredient, pyraclostrobin. We continue to see it used on all surfaces, but again, we see it more often used either in the fairway or on some of those out-of-play sort of areas, the roughs and stuff like that. Although out west, where Rapid Blight out in California, guys really like just the solo Insignia for that as well. So, yeah, it's a utility player, cost-effective, but still has a lot of the control. The difference really between the Honor and the Insignia is the Insignia really doesn't get the dollar spot like the Honor does. So that's kind of how we differentiate those two.
And we'll go to the next part of the lineup. Pillar G, how's that being positioned right now?
Yeah, Pillar G is a product that we see uses in small areas on the course, typically where folks maybe have some rain issues or some standing water, areas where it's harder to make a safe application with a sprayer. That's where Pillar G, some guys like to use Pillar G on their tees, and stuff like that. So it's a really kind of a specialist kind of product that's used in golf, and a lot of guys use it and instead of spraying around their clubhouse, because a lot of members don't like that, they'll actually use the Pillar G for their disease control. And it's a great combination of Insignia plus triticonazole, which is our older DMI chemistry. And it does a great job. I mean, it's just a great specialist kind of product, and guys who use it always have a few bags sitting around for when they need it.
There are a lot of options there in that lineup. Where can superintendents go to learn more about these options as they make decisions here in the future?
Yeah, so they can go to www.betterturf.basf.us. That's our website for the professional golf business. And we have everything under the sun there. Lots of things to read, podcasts, videos, spray programs. It is a comprehensive place. Obviously, we have information on the holiday spray program itself there. So we encourage you to go there. And, of course, you can always contact your local BASF sales rep for any questions.
And last thing here, Jeff, what can superintendents and others in the industry expect from BASF as the summer progresses here?
Yeah, sure. So great question. So as the summer progresses, we're going to continue a strong focus on Maxima and Navicon, which is, our newest launches at BASF, along with rolling out strong educational tools to help the supers as they recover from the past months with the COVID situation. But as we get to August, you can imagine we'll be turning our attention to EOP and our preparations to get our channel trained and helping customers be successful then for 2021. That's really what EOP is. It's all about the next year, really, at that point. So, very focused on our new technologies and very focused on continuing to help the golf course superintendent be successful. That's our lifeblood.
Well, Jeff, it was great catching up with you. Thanks again for taking time for this podcast. And more importantly, thanks for everything that BASF does for the golf industry.
Thank you so much, Guy. Appreciate it very much.